Good morning, dear children. Welcome back. In today's session, we are going to continue our discussion of Class 6, Term 1, Unit 1 in Geography, the Universe and Solar System. This is part 4 of the series. Come, children, let us learn. Before going into today's session, let us have a recap of what we discussed in the last sessions. We learned about the introduction of solar system and how it was formed. We learned that numerous stars and celestial bodies came into existence by a massive explosion called the Big Bang. And these celestial bodies together are called the universe, or otherwise known as cosmos. So the study of universe is called cosmology. The universe is a vast expanse of space. Most astronomers believe that it came into existence after the Big Bang explosion that was happening about 15 billion years ago. Universe consists of billions of galaxies, stars, planets, comets, asteroids, meteoroids, and natural satellites. And these are collectively called as celestial body. A light year is a unit used to measure the distance between these celestial bodies. A galaxy is a huge cluster of stars which are held together by gravitational force. Most of the galaxies are scattered in space. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, was formed about 5 billion years after the Big Bang explosion. The nearest galaxy to the Milky Way are Andromeda Galaxy as well as the Magellanic Clouds. The Sun is the center of the solar system. Each member of the solar system revolves around the Sun. Sun is made up of extremely hot gases like hydrogen and helium. We also learned about the planets. The word planet means wanderer. There are 8 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. All planets rotate anti-clockwise on their own axis except Venus and Uranus. The path in which the planets move around the Sun is known as its orbit. The 4 planets nearer to the Sun are called as inner planets or terrestrial planets. They are comparatively smaller in size and are composed of rocks. The last 4 planets are called outer planets or Jovian planets, or called as gaseous giants. There is an asteroid belt between the Mars and Jupiter. Mercury is the smallest and the closest planet to the Sun. It is an airless and waterless planet. Venus is called as Earth's twin as it is the same size as that of Earth. It has no natural satellites like Mercury. It is otherwise called as morning star and evening star. After moon, it is the brightest natural object in the night sky. Our planet Earth is called as blue planet or watery planet because 2/3 of Earth is covered by water. It is the only planet in the solar system which is not named after any Greek or Roman deity. It is the only planet known to support life. Life is possible on Earth because of the presence of land, air, and water. The only natural satellite of Earth is Moon. Mars is the 4th planet from Sun and 2nd smallest planet in solar system after Mercury. It appears red in color due to the presence of iron oxide on its surface and is often described as a red planet. It has a thin atmosphere. Also got polar ice caps like Earth. It has got 2 natural satellites, Phobos and Deimos. Jupiter is the 5th planet from the Sun and the largest planet in the solar system, named after the king of Roman gods. It is the 3rd brightest object in the night sky after Moon and Venus. It is the fastest spinning planet in the solar system. It is called as a giant gas planet. Its atmosphere is made up of hydrogen and helium like that of Sun. It has the largest number of natural satellites. The 6th planet from the Sun is the Saturn. It is the 2nd largest planet in the solar system after Jupiter. Saturn has many rings around it. They are huge and are mostly made up of ice, rocks, and dust particles. Dear children, Saturn has 62 natural satellites around it. It is the only satellite in the solar system that has clouds and a dense atmosphere composed of nitrogen and methane. That is Titan, which is the Saturn's largest moon. The seventh planet is the Uranus. It is green in color due to the presence of methane gas. It rotates on its axis from east to west like Venus. Its axis is tilted so much that it appears to orbit the sun on its sides like a rolling ball. Uranus has 27 natural satellites. Neptune is the farthest planet from Sun. There are strong winds in this planet. Neptune has 14 natural satellites. It is one of the coldest planets in the solar system. We also learned about the Dwarf Planet. They are small celestial bodies found beyond the planet Neptune. They are extremely cold and dark, almost spherical in shape, but unlike planets, they can share their orbits with other dwarf planets. The 5 dwarf planets of the solar system are Pluto, Ceres, Eris, Makemake, and Haumea. We also learned about satellites. Satellites are celestial objects which revolve around the planets. The moon is the Earth's only satellite. It revolves around the Earth once in every 27 days and 8 hours. It takes about the same time for its complete one rotation around its axis. Asteroids are small solid objects that move around the Sun. They are found as a belt between Mars and Jupiter. They are also known as planetoids or minor planets. A comet is a celestial object made up of a head and a tail. The head of a comet consists of solid particles held together by ice, and the tail is made up of gases. The most famous comet is Halley's Comet, which comes close to Earth every 76 years. It will appear next in 2061. A meteor is a stone-like or a metallic body. When entering into the Earth's atmosphere, most of them burn. Meteors which strike the Earth's surface are called meteorites. We also learned about the motions of the Earth, that is rotation and revolution. The shape and inclination of the Earth is also important. Earth is spherical in shape. It rotates on its axis, which is an imaginary line that runs from the North Pole to the South Pole, passing through the center of the Earth. The Earth's axis is always tilted or inclined from the vertical by an angle of 23.5 degrees. It makes an angle of 66.5 degrees with the plane of the Earth's orbit. Dear children, in this session, we will discuss about the motion of the Earth. Come children, let us learn about rotation and revolution. Rotation. It is a spinning movement of the Earth on its own axis. The Earth rotates from west to east, that is anti-clockwise, and takes 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4.09 seconds to complete one rotation. So what is rotation? It is a spinning movement, like a top spinning. You can see the Earth is also spinning around, and it takes 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4.09 seconds to complete one rotation. It rotates from west to east. The time, dear children, taken by the Earth to complete one rotation is called a day. So what is a day? The time taken by the Earth to complete one rotation is called as a day. And what is the effect of rotation? The rotation of Earth causes day and night. You get day and night because of the rotation of the Earth. That is, a spinning movement of the Earth on its axis causes day and night. Dear children, as the Earth is spherical in shape, only one half of it is illuminated by the sun at a time. So at a time, you can see only half of the Earth is illuminated by the sun. The other half remains dark. So it is dark on the other side. The illuminated portion of the Earth experiences day, whereas the darkened part of the Earth experiences night. So the part in which sunlight falls, that part will have day, and the opposite part which is not having sunlight will have night. The line which divides the surface of the earth into a lightened half and a dark half is called the Terminator Line. What is it? Terminator Line. Terminator. Terminator Line. What is that? It is a line that divides the surface of the earth into a lightened half and a dark half. You can see the picture of the Terminator Line. It is an illustration. So, what is a Terminator line? It is a line that divides the surface of the earth into a lightened half and a dark half. Because since the earth is spherical in shape, only one half of the earth is illuminated by the sun. And the line that divides it is called as a Terminator line. The picture shows the rotation of the earth. You can see earth is rotating on its axis, and you can see the sunlight falling only on a part of the earth, and this causes day and night. Children, tell me, how will you identify it as midnight? You will say it is complete darkness, ma'am. Then we will say it as midnight. What if you get the sun at midnight? Yes, my dear children, midnight sun is a natural phenomenon. That is a naturally occurring thing that occurs in the summer months in places of the North Arctic Circle or south of the Antarctic Circle. That is, the sun remains visible at the local midnight. When the midnight sun is seen in Arctic, the sun appears to move from left to right. But in Antarctica, the equivalent apparent motion is from right to left. So we have midnight sun. It's a natural phenomenon. Phenomenon. P-H-E-N-O-M-E-N-O-N. Phenomenon. A phenomenon is a fact or an event in nature. That is something which we cannot fully understand. So midnight sun is a natural phenomenon that occurs in the summer months. When it will occur in the summer months in places north of Arctic Circle or south of Antarctic Circle. So on the northern side of the Arctic Circle, you can find the midnight sun, as well as on the southern side of the Antarctic Circle, when the sun remains overhead 24 hours a day. You can see the sun 24 hours a day. That is called as a midnight sun. Now children, let us learn what is revolution. Revolution is a movement of the earth around the sun on its elliptical path. So you can see the picture, the path is not circular, it is elongated, a bit elongated. And the movement of the earth around the sun on its elliptical path is called as revolution. The earth takes 365 and 1/4 days to complete one revolution. So in order to complete one complete revolution, complete going around the sun, the earth takes 365 days and quarter. It revolves around the sun at a speed of 30 kilometers per second, and the earth goes around the sun with a speed of 30 kilometers in a second. It travels 30 kilometers per second, and it takes 365 and 1/4 days to complete one revolution. So dear children, a tropical year is 365.24 days, that is one complete orbit around the sun. Our common year is 365 days, that is 1/4 days short of a complete orbit. And the leap year is 366 days. That is approximately equal to 3/4 day over a complete orbit. Now, for the sake of convenience, we take it as 365 days and call it a year. We don't calculate the 1/4 day, and we make it a round and calculate 365 days as a year. The remaining quarter day is added once in every 4 years in the month of February. So you have February having 1 day extra once in 4 years. That is why February has 29 days once in 4 years. and it is called a leap year. It is called a leap year because normally we round it as 365 days, and the 1/4 day is added once in every 4 years to the month of February. And when we add like that, we say it as leap year. So what is leap year? Leap year is a year which has 29 days in the month of February. The inclination of the earth on its axis and its revolution around the sun causes different season. And because of the inclination, the tilt of the earth on its axis as well as its revolution around the sun will cause seasons. You know, children, rotation causes day and night and revolution causes seasons. Dear children, the northern hemisphere is inclined towards the sun for 6 months from 21st March to 23rd September, while the southern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun. And from 23rd September to 21st March, the southern hemisphere is inclined towards the sun and the northern hemisphere faces away from the sun. So you can find, because of the tilt of the earth, you can see at some times, that is 6 months, that is 21st March to 23rd September, the northern hemisphere is inclined towards the sun. And from 23rd September to 21st March, the southern hemisphere is inclined towards the sun. Now, let us learn about two terms, that is perihelion and aphelion. Perihelion, P-E-R-I-H-E-L-I-O-N, perihelion and aphelion, A-P-H-E-L-I-O-N. Dear children, perihelion is a point in the orbit that is nearest to the sun. So if it is very nearest to the sun, it is perihelion, and if it is farther away from the sun, we call it as aphelion. So dear children, perihelion is the Earth's closest position to the sun and aphelion is the farthest position of the Earth from the sun. That is, children, since the Earth orbits around the sun in an elliptical path, this phenomenon occurs. Aphelion is a point of the Earth's orbit that is farthest away from the sun, and perihelion is a point of the Earth's orbit that is nearest to the sun. Dear children, in 2022, the perihelion was on 4th January as well as the aphelion will be on 4th July. When the Earth is closest to the sun, it is winter in the northern hemisphere and summer in the southern hemisphere. Thus, it is possible to see that the Earth's distance from the sun does not noticeably cause the seasons to change. Dear children, the changing position of the Earth in its orbit during revolution gives the impression that the sun is continuously moving north and south of the equator. Because Earth's position is changing in the orbit, we feel that sun is moving continuously. The equator faces the sun directly on 21st March and 23rd September. We can see the equator is facing the sun directly on 2 days. That is 21st March and 23rd September. And these 2 days are called as equinoxes. Equinoxes, E-Q-U-I-N-O-X-E-S. Equinoxes are the days when the equator faces the sun directly, and it happens on 2 days, 21st March and 23rd September. So these 2 days are called as equinoxes, during which the day and night are equal throughout the earth. So you can see day and night are equal during the equinoxes. That is, the equator faces the sun directly, and the dates are 21st March and 23rd September. We are having equal day and nights, and this is called as equinoxes. These 2 days are called as equinoxes. On 21st June, the Tropic of Cancer faces the sun, and this is known as summer solstice. Dear children, it is the longest day in the northern hemisphere and the longest night or the shortest day in the southern hemisphere. That is, what is summer solstice? On 21st June, the Tropic of Cancer faces the south. It is the longest day in the northern hemisphere and the longest night, that is the shortest day in the southern hemisphere. So what is summer solstice? The longest day on the northern hemisphere or the shortest day in the southern hemisphere, and it occurs on 21st June because the sun is directly falling on the Tropic of Cancer. The same thing happens on 22nd of December. That is, on 22nd December, the Tropic of Capricorn faces the sun, and that day is called as winter solstice. It is the longest day in the southern hemisphere and the longest night or the shortest day in the northern hemisphere. So you have summer solstice, which is the longest day in the northern hemisphere, and winter solstice, longest day in the southern hemisphere. And the sun's rays directly fall on tropics, that is tropics of Cancer and tropic of Capricorn. You know, children, the earth is divided into equator. You can find the line, imaginary line going through the middle of the earth called as the equator, and towards north side you have Tropic of Cancer, and towards south side you have Tropic of Capricorn. And when you say it is summer solstice, it is on 21st June. The Tropic of Cancer faces the sun, which is the longest day in the northern hemisphere, and we call it as summer solstice. On 22nd December, the Tropic of Capricorn faces the sun, and it is called as winter solstice. It is the longest day in the southern hemisphere. Dear children, the picture shows the equinoxes, that is on September 23rd, which is autumn equinox, and March 21st, vernal equinox, and the solstice, summer solstice, June 22nd, and winter solstice, that is on December 22nd. Now let us move on to the spheres of the earth. Dear children, earth is the only inhabitable planet, that is we have so far found life only on the surface of earth. The earth is the most suitable planet to support life. It has three major components that we call as the realms of the earth. They are lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. Lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. Lithosphere, lithosphere. Hydrosphere, hydro, hydro, sphere, sphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere, atmosphere, atmosphere. The three components, along with suitable climate, make life possible on Earth. So these are the three essential components, plus nice climate also make Earth inhabitable. All living things exist in the narrow zone called the biosphere. So all the living things you can find on the biosphere, which is very narrow zone, which comprises of atmosphere, hydrosphere, as well as lithosphere. Lithosphere. The word lithosphere is derived from the Greek word lithos, which means rocky. So rocky is the meaning of the word lithos, Greek word lithos. You can find lithosphere is the land on which we live. The place where we live is lithosphere. It is a solid outer layer of the earth consisting of rocks and soil. You can find rocks as well as soil on the lithosphere. And lithosphere can be on the continents or it could be on the oceans. Under the oceans you can find the crust, and that forms the lithosphere. What is the land we live? It is the lithosphere. Now let us see what is a hydrosphere. The word hydro means water in Greek. What is the meaning of word hydro? In Greek, it means water. The hydrosphere consists of water bodies such as oceans, seas, rivers, lakes, ice caps on the mountains, and water vapor in the atmosphere. So it consists of all the water bodies. What are the water bodies? Oceans, seas, rivers, lakes, ice caps on the mountains, as well as water vapor in the atmosphere. So all these things come under the hydrosphere. The next important sphere is the atmosphere. Atmosphere. The word atmo means air in Greek. So it means air. Atmo means air. Atmosphere is the envelope or cover of air that surrounds the earth. So you have a cover or a blanket of air around the earth, and that is called as atmosphere. Dear children, different types of gases make up the atmosphere. There are different types of gases that are part or a constituent of the atmosphere. And the major gases are nitrogen, which makes around 78% of the atmosphere, followed by oxygen. So the major constituent gas of atmosphere is nitrogen, which is 78%, and oxygen, next one is oxygen, which is 21%. The other gases like carbon dioxide, hydrogen, helium, argon and ozone are also present in meager amounts. So comparatively, compared to nitrogen and oxygen, these other gases like carbon dioxide, hydrogen, helium, argon and ozone are in very little amounts or very meager amounts. Now children, it's time for us to learn about the biosphere. Dear children, the narrow belt of interaction among the lithosphere, the hydrosphere and the atmosphere where life exists is known as biosphere. So where there is interaction between these spheres, we call them as biosphere. It is a very narrow belt of interaction among the three spheres. They are lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. And it is a place where life exists. Dear children, bio means life in Greek. In Greek, bio means life. And the biosphere consists of distinct zones. There are different parts or different zones, and each of the zone has its own climate, plant and animal life. So the biosphere is consisting of different zones which has its own climate, plant and animal life. These zones are called as ecosystems. They are called as ecosystem. Zones which have its own climate, plant and animal life are called as ecosystem. The picture shows the biosphere. You can see sea creatures, marine living organisms, birds, animals, vegetation, that is plants, animals in the ground and dead plants and animals. All these form the biosphere. Dear children, the picture you see is that of the ecosystem that includes all the living things in the given area which are interacting or communicating with each other and also with their non-living environment. So we can say we have got the community, then habitat and then the ecosystem. There are two components of ecosystem, that is the biotic components, that is all living organisms, and abiotic components like all living factors like heat, air, temperature, water, light, etc. And they are very diverse. There are different types of ecosystems like oceans and living organisms that cover the earth's surface, desert ecosystem and so on. Even a small pond is considered as an ecosystem of its own. Dear children, the biosphere we can find in Gulf of Mannar Biosphere Reserve in the Indian Ocean covers an area of 10,500 square kilometers in the ocean. It is so diverse. You can see the biodiversity in the picture that I have given you. Time to move on to the summary of the lesson. Dear children, the universe was formed 15 billion years after the Big Bang explosion. Many galaxies are found in universe. Our solar system is part of the Milky Way galaxy. The sun is so huge that it accounts for 99.8% of the entire mass of the solar system. All planets rotate anti-clockwise on their own axis except Venus and Uranus. And asteroids are found as a belt between Mars and Jupiter. The rotation of the earth causes day and night, and the revolution of the earth causes seasons. Summer solstice is the longest day in the northern hemisphere. The presence of land, water, and air, along with suitable climate, makes life possible on Earth. Now let us go through the glossary. Galaxy, Galaxy. Galaxy is a cluster of stars. Asteroids, Asteroids. Asteroids are irregular shaped rocks between Mars and Jupiter. Meteors, Meteors. Meteors are space particles left behind by comets or asteroids. Comets, Comets. Comets are frozen lump of rocks, dust and gas. Satellites, Satellites. Satellites are celestial bodies that move around the planets. Orbit, Orbit. Orbit is a path in which the planets move around the sun. Earth's axis, EARTH''S. Earth's axis, AXIS. Axis is an imaginary line passing through the center of the Earth from the North Pole to the South Pole. Rotation, Rotation. Rotation is the spinning movement of the planets on their axis. Revolution, Revolution. Revolution is a movement of planets around the sun in their orbit. Equinox, Equinox. Equinox is a day on which day and night are of equal length. Solstice, Solstice. Solstice is an occurrence where the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn face the sun vertically. Rover, Rover. Rover is a space exploration vehicle which moves across the surface of a celestial body. Orbiter, Orbiter. Orbiter is a spacecraft which orbits a celestial body without landing on its surface. Before winding up today's session, let us have a recap of what we learned in this one. In this session, we discussed about the motion of the Earth. We learned about rotation, which is the spinning movement of the Earth on its axis. It takes 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4.09 seconds to complete one rotation. Rotation causes day and night. Revolution is the movement of the Earth around the Sun on its own elliptical orbit. And the Earth takes 365 and 1/4 days to complete one revolution. The revolution of Earth causes the seasons. Dear children, the next session we will discuss the book back exercises, that is the evaluation part. Time for worksheet. Worksheet number 4. Roman number 1, fill in the blanks. Question number 1. The equator faces the sun directly on dash and dash. The equator faces the sun directly on dash and dash. Question number 2. At the time of perihelion, the earth is dashed to the sun. At the time of perihelion, the earth is dashed to the sun. Roman number 2. Answer the following. Question number 1. What is perihelion? What is perihelion? Question number 2. What are the effects of rotation and revolution? What are the effects of rotation and revolution? Question number 3. Explain the characteristics of the various spheres of the Earth. Explain the characteristics of the various spheres of the Earth. As we do in the case of worksheet, you copy the questions, learn the lesson, read the lesson very well, and then write it as home test. With that, we wind up today's session, my dear children. Thank you for watching. For more videos, you could always visit our channel. Thank you.